full circle comeback. Now that is Rashied Davis, or as some might remember, number 81 for the Chicago Bears. You could look at his life and see his comeback from growing up struggling to retiring an NFL star. However, as we got to know Rashied and started peeling back his story, we saw a kid who grew up in the rough part of LA, whose dad was murdered. He struggled in school, and then he had a moment where he realized his full circle comeback. We'll let him explain. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, just hearing your story and knowing how far you've come in your lifetime, I want you to take us back to LA. Tell us about your childhood.
Yeah, Boys in the Hood is probably one of the truest depictions of the LA that I grew up in. It's pretty gang-ridden, drug-ridden, infested sort of with a lot of negativity.
And you were able to stay out of so-called trouble, the gangs and the drugs, most of your childhood. Yes,
I was just different. Something was different about me. I couldn't tell you what it was, except for the fact that I probably was scarier than they were, more intimidated by the violence and the gangs and the drugs and all of that stuff.
You lost your dad when you were 8. How did you get through that time?
One of the things that I've started to realize is sort of as a revelation in my life is that I wasn't a good student in class, but I've always been pretty smart and could retain information when I was a kid. And I started to realize that I think I used the majority of my intelligence as a kid surviving the environment that I was growing up in and trying to figure out how to navigate all of the things that, all of the adversity that I was encountering.
One of the things that I found amazing about your childhood is not only did you, keep going with the different hurdles that came up, but then you ended up going as a walk-on to a JV school, having not really played football. How did that work out?
I was pretty small as a kid. I'm not very big now. I'm about 5'10", 100 and I'll say 90 pounds. At least that's what I finished at. But I was pretty small, and then I decided, my cousin came to my house when I was 18 and said, we're going to go play football. And at West Los Angeles Junior College, and I've been playing ever since. One of the things that about me was that once I start something, I give it everything that I have, and I just progressed from there.
Yeah, because within 2 years there, you went on to
San Jose State University, where I played my 2 years there, and then went to arena football beyond that. So within 5 years of me beginning to play football in junior college, I was a professional athlete.
That is wild.
Yeah.
So you end up at the Chicago Bears.
Yes.
Which is awesome. What I know everyone watching, 81.
Yes.
Your career there, you had so many different highlights. You ended up staying in Chicago. But what I love about your story is you had this aha moment in the locker room.
I had a lot of aha moments in the locker room, but I was one of the things that I learned when I was a Chicago Bear was the importance of giving back to the community, right? And so the Bears are pretty active in the community here in Chicago. And one of the things that I picked up along the way was the fact that there was a huge gap in literacy here in the education of kids that were growing up like me, in rough, adverse situations and adverse environments. So that's when my wife and I decided we wanted to do something about it, to give back. And so I have a belief in self-society, right? So I believe that we all have a responsibility to ourselves first and to society second. So it was my responsibility to take care of my life and figure out what I needed to do to be successful and to feed my family and to help grow a family. And then I had to also, once I did that, I believe that it's my turn to sort of give back that wisdom, give back that knowledge, if monetarily, whatever it is that I can do to try to bring kids along with me.
And you have the literacy program for 3rd and 4th graders.
Yes.
Was that specifically when you were struggling in school?
No, but that was when I had very influential teacher. Her name was Mrs. Dyer. Now this came up during the development of Saturday Place, which is the enrichment program that you're speaking about. During the development of it, sitting down with the consultants that helped us develop Saturday Place, I realized that my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Dyer, was someone who was hard on me, but she was also very fair.
And that's what you're doing with the kids that you're helping now, is you are helping these kids get back on to grade level.
Yes.
And you saw this gap. You saw yourself in these kids. And that's what I think is so incredible with what you've done with your life, is you've identified who you were, and now you're going back to that same place to help raise these other people. And, you know, I said this in your intro, people could look at you and say, Bears player, I mean, this is great. I mean, that's awesome. But really, this legacy you're leaving is truly, truly amazing. So I champion you for that.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to leave an example for my children to understand that we all are products of our environment, but we don't have to live in the negative circumstances. We can all rise above and live above those things, but also we also have to realize that we are all standing on the shoulders of people that have come before us. And so I want them to start at a higher level than I started and take it beyond that and understand that we have a responsibility in a civil society, if we're going to call ourselves a civil society, to not just think about ourselves. Right. We have to think about others as well and try to make things as equitable as possible.
That is so good. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.